Welcome back to the Circuit Revival, where today we're going to be taking a look at something that some of you may recognise. So this Acer tablet has come back again. So the person I gave it to last time, it was all fixed, and from what I gathered, their child has decided to once again throw it down the stairs. So this time I've been told it's just boot looping. So I think it's probably died as a result of that. We can test that just by holding the power button. And you can see we've got nothing. So I think he said that because it just kept boot looping, it sort of like wore the battery down. So what we'll do is we'll try to plug this in, and then hopefully we should see for the first time just here how this ammeter works. Here we go. So you can see we've got 5 volts, 0.7 amps, nothing on the screen yet. So we'll just give it a bit of time, because if it is as dead as it says it is, it'll probably take a little bit of time just to load up enough to do something. So we'll just let this run. And so you can see there's 2 lines. There's a red one at the top and a white one below it. The red one is the voltage and the white one is the amps there. We kind of follow what it does. So you can see it's gone up there to 0.8 and we've still got nothing on the screen. And then I think on the right side of that you can see the peak of each of those as well. Would you like to run through a bit? Fight it on? No, we'll just let it run. Just let it charge up a bit. Oh, okay, there we go. So we have an image on the screen there. So the battery is obviously very dead. So that's just telling us that it's low battery. So we'll leave it and see what it does. Okay, it's gone up to 1.6 amps there. Is it going to try and turn on? Try to turn on. So drop down. And try to back at all. Okay, so we're turned on. What's it going to do? Okay, so this is just turning on. So I was told it was just boot looping around, but that's just powered up fine. We'll leave it and see if it does anything different, but if not I might just need to charge this up and hold on to it and see if it still does the same thing, because it could well be maybe just a case of their charger wasn't good enough, so it couldn't charge it up enough, so it powered up enough, but then when the screen turned on it killed the battery, so it just turned itself back off again. But I think I'm just going to have to pause the video on this one and come back to it once this is charged up and see whether it starts doing anything different. So could well be the easiest fix so far, just plugging in a charger. So if this does anything else, I will come back to you and let you know. Okay, so it's only been a few seconds, literally just as I said that, it came up on the screen with the power off element, and then it shut itself down. So I'm wondering whether maybe this is an issue with the power button itself. Maybe it constantly thinks it's plugged in, it's pushed in, so which would make sense as to why he was saying it's boot looping, because it would turn on, but if the button thinks it's constantly pressed down, it would then turn itself straight back off again. So we'll let this load up again, and I'll just leave it a bit longer this time and see what happens. Because with Android device, if you hold down the power button, it comes up with the menu where it's got like restart, power off, and aspects like that. And I hadn't pressed anything, and that came up on its own. So I wonder whether the power button just thinks it's constantly engaged. Okay, we're turning back on again. So we'll just leave this a bit longer and see what it does. There we go. So you can just see it's come up with the power off and then it's shut itself down. So you can see I didn't press that, I tried to back out of it and it's come back off again, and now we're back on. And this looks like it is now maybe doing that boot looping that was mentioned. Okay, so at least we've got the same symptoms to what we were told. Let's get this open and see whether we can see anything. So if you remember with this, it did have a screw on it, but I think it's the one where the screw was broken, so all we just need to do is ping open the clips on the back. Just undo the clips. Okay, there we go, we're back in. So we'll just take a look around to begin with, see whether there's anything that stands out. No, I can't see anything immediately that stands out to me. But as I say, my concerns lie mainly in this power connector board. So I wonder whether we can just try and get that out to begin with and just see whether that is constantly engaged. Because if that thinks it is, or if there's like a break in it or it's pushed down, would make sense to me as to why that came up. So hopefully I think this should just lift out. Okay, what I have seen here is the reset button. So at the top here we've got power, volume, and then there's a reset button there that normally you'd need to stick something quite small in to engage with it. Now the actual sort of like button for that is sort of come away slightly. So I pulled that up because I wonder whether it's constantly just trying to reset. We'll plug this back in and see if we get anything different. It's still charging up there. Because the only other thing I could imagine... Okay, so we're back on. We're at 1%. It's turned off. Did it come back on? Try that on. Okay, whilst that's in, I'll still just take another look at this board. So see if we can bring you guys in a bit closer. So as you can see, I've lifted up the button. So this here is where the reset button is. So I've just lifted up the contact that engages it to see whether it does anything different. The buttons for the volume up, down and everything still feel pretty secure. So I don't think it is the power buttons, but I can't see anything else on this. I wonder if there's anything underneath this shield here. So I'm thinking if this was thrown down the stairs, there's a chance that maybe a BGA chip or something has come loose. Okay, so underneath this we have 1, 2, 3, 4 chips there. Got nothing back on the screen again, so I'm wondering whether maybe if we try apply some pressure to these and see whether it does anything different, because it could be a cracked solder ball underneath one of these chips. So we can see it's still charging up. So I'm just going to try applying pressure to each of these and try and see if I can turn it on, see if it does anything. Okay, so let's do it. Nothing down, got one more just here, let's try this. Okay, nothing on any of those. So we know power's getting in because it's turning on. Wonder what happens if I try and... Just wondering whether we try and disconnect the power button, because I think most tablets turn on if they're on charge. So I'm wondering whether this is the power board here. If we try pulling this out, maybe it can't turn itself off again, and we'll try see if we can turn it on with the power. Okay, that's helpful so far. Is it going to turn on though? Okay, it's turned back off, but I don't know if that's because it's looping or whether... Try unplug, plug back in again. Back to the battery. 3%. Is it going to stay? And then back off. So I'll try again. I'm going to try the same thing, apply pressure whilst these to these chips whilst this does this. Okay, 4%. And then back off. Okay, let's try remove some of these other cables just in case anything else is causing the problem. So there's two we need to keep in, which is the digitizer and the screen, but these two here I believe are just microphones and bits. Just in case there's something putting a short on the board. Okay, nothing with that. Try the camera and microphone at the top. Okay, there's some heat on the board here. So we might be able to pull the thermal cam out and see whether that's doing anything or whether it's just heat from the charger itself. And back off again. And then everything else just looks to be the screen and the digitizer there. So I think what we'll do is we'll pull the thermal camera out and see whether we can see anything, because it feels a bit warm. So I'm wondering whether maybe it's turning on and then there's something putting a short on the board, so it then turns itself back off. Okay, there we go. So we have the thermal camera here, and I can already see some heat spots. So let's come in and see what these are. So I'll just put the macro lens on, so this should allow us to see a bit clearer. Okay, so we have this inductor's getting warm. This, which is like a diode, is getting warm. This, which is a resistor, is getting warm. That makes sense. And then there's a heat spot on the top of this chip here. Anything else across the board? No, so just those two. So it could be maybe that chip has gone faulty. Let's just take the macro lens off again for a second. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to unplug it, and I'm going to plug it back in to see if we get any difference in behavior when it tries to turn on. There's something getting warm on the other side here. Which is this diode, and that's gone out now. And just the heat spot on here. So this one was getting warm, but it's now gone out, which seems like it comes in the startup. So I think we'll have a look around for shorts in this area here, just in case this chip here is shorted, because we can see there's quite a localized heat spot on it. It's not like the whole thing's getting warm, it's just this top end. And I can't see anything else getting warm. Apart from, is that getting warm? Okay, hold on, is that pulsing? Or is that a reflection? take the macro lens off a second. Okay, the big main chip here is also getting warm. You can see there, sort of pulsing. We'll have a look at what that is. It says MediaTek ARM, so it could be something. We'll take a look at that. So we've got heat coming off of this big BGA chip here, just around the middle, and then we have a localized heat spot on this chip here. So we'll take a look at those and see whether we can see anything. So if we come in, so the ones that were getting warm were this one here around this area and this chip right here. So we'll take the power out of that and let's try and see. We'll be careful because the battery is still plugged in on this, but we'll try and see whether we've got anything showing up as shorted on that chip. So we'll go continuity mode, which is the mode that beeps when we have a complete circuit. Nothing on the first, nothing on the second, nothing on the third. Nothing there. Nothing there. So there's like shorted. Let's just test the caps around here. Nothing for. That should be low resistance, that's probably about right. Let's test the caps around where that dial came on. So I can't find anything that stands out there, but something still makes me think it's possibly, although we're on now. Okay, it has, unless maybe I should manage to turn it on by shorting some buttons. But do we have... So it looks like we don't have the digitizer, which I'm not entirely sure, because I'm fairly certain the digitizer is one of these two here. So I think this one's the digitizer and this one's the screen. So I think we technically should have one of those working. Just in case maybe the digitizer's got knocked loose. Let's try and see whether we can remove this. Okay, so I think undoing that we've lost that. So maybe this one is the screen. That looks fine. Okay, so we have sound there, but it sounds like we still don't have the digitizer. So did maybe just one of these connectors get knocked loose? Try and get these back in. Because I think we have a backlight there, we just don't have the display anymore. So I'm just wondering whether maybe this cable's got damaged. See if we can get underneath some of this. What I reckon I'll try and do is let's see if we can get the power cable back in and see whether it does anything. See if we can get underneath this tape, just see if we can spot any damage around here. And nothing looks loose on there. I think that's still all okay. Okay, we're back on, we have digitizer again. And we have volume. but we don't have lock. So I'm still considering that this is maybe a problem with the on-off button, because as this is an Android tablet, when you press that, that should lock. Because even if we hold it down, it should shut down, but we don't even have that. So I'm going to say we have a problem with the on-off button. What he's trying to do is get this power board button out. Had some slight adhesive on the back. So let's try and see if we can. Okay, it's just restarted there. Okay, no, it looks like it's just looping now. Let's try remove this again. We have the battery charging symbol again. And then it shuts down. I wonder if that's because it's missing the power button. I'm just going to leave that charge over there, and I think I'm just going to take a closer look at this, because something tells me this is where a lot of the problems lie, because it's the only thing I can find that's just not quite working properly. Go. So here we are. You can see where the reset button had lifted slightly. I'm wondering whether maybe there's an issue with the power button. Okay, so I've got a knife now, so hopefully we can try and prise this up a bit easier without causing any more damage. I can't see a reason that didn't work. We'll just try to get a bit of clean up just in case. So we just try and clean up these contacts. Make sure we get rid of that fluff. Definitely will cause a problem. Yeah, I'm going to pull the flat out. So try and get this back down flat. Alright, button still click. Make any difference. So we're still on. Touchscreen still working. Try plug this back in. Let's just test the volume. There we still have volume. Do we have the lock now? No, still not able to use lock. Okay, so what I think I'm going to do, because I've still got the old unit that we used to replace the screens, I'm going to grab the power board from that one and see whether that does anything different. Let's see whether this one works any differently. See whether the power button will let us turn it on. Okay, it looks like it's turning on, so I think maybe we may have just found the problem was just this board here was constantly trying to turn it off. Okay, does volume work? Volume up works. Volume down works. And lock. And unlock. Okay, let's try and see if we can get this back in then without breaking this one. Looking positive so far. Okay, looks like we're turning on. Now, provided we can volume up, volume down and lock, this looks like a fix to me. Okay, so we've got movement, we've got volume up, we got volume down, got lock, unlock. Nice. Okay, I'm saying this is a fix here because it makes sense what it was doing, that this cable here, somewhere there's a break or two things are touching each other that shouldn't be, where basically it was just constantly trying to turn it on and off. So that's why the person that gave it to me said it was boot looping, because every time it would try and turn itself on, it would try and turn itself back off again. So just need to get the back on this, but I'm going to say this is 2-0 there. So we can then change this to 2. So amazing, 2 for 2 so far. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.